Wow, I did not expect this thing to be this fun. This is the 2024 Can-Am Ryker Rally, and I'm about to review it. The Can-Am Spyder appeared in 2007, and when we first saw them on the road, they looked kind of like this quirky version of a snowmobile for the road. And that made a lot of sense coming from BRP, Bombardier Recreational Products, arguably the inventor of the snowmobile. It was totally understandable to see this company kind of carry on this momentum onto the road with basically a snowmobile with tires fitted onto it. The Can-Am Spyder was never trying to be a motorcycle. It was trying to be something different, something unique. And up until this day, nobody has really tried to copy it at its own game. Sure, Polaris sells the Slingshot, Compenga has the T-Rex, but these three-wheeled vehicles are more like a car in the sense that you're sitting inside it like a car and you have a steering wheel, versus this, well, you ride it like you would a snowmobile. You've got handlebars. So it really is that. It's a snowmobile for the road. And recently, the company has opened up the lineup because, you know what, sales are actually doing really well on average. BRP sells about 10 to 15,000 units in the US and Canada per year. So lighter, more affordable, simpler models like the Ryker came along, which allowed people to enter the lineup at a more affordable price point. Younger riders, different types of riders that were looking for something a bit different. And now there's this, the Ryker Rally. And this is really the product that got me interested in the entire Spyder lineup. It's kind of like a trail bike. It's made for off-road situations, like a dirt road, loose gravel. It allows you to play around with it, kick out the rear, throw up some dirt, throw out some rocks, and between you and me, I totally dig the 1980 style rally inspired wheels. So come with me, we're gonna go for a ride and we're gonna explore all the fine details of the 2024 Can-Am Ryker Rally. So hopping onto a Ryker Rally is actually pretty easy. These things are very small, they're not too complicated. You don't need to climb on them or anything. You just hop on like you would a snowmobile, and then you have adjustable foot pegs and an adjustable handlebar right here. I can move it forward and left and then close the latch right there. It's all very accessible, very easy to use, because the idea behind the Ryker is to be an entry-level version of the Spyder lineup. It's also considerably more affordable than the RT or the F3 models that Can-Am will sell you. So no windshield. All I have is a small little screen right here as instrumentation, and that's very simple instrumentation. Exterior temperature, the clock. I can see, of course, my fuel gauge, and I can also fiddle with some drive modes. Now I have 3 drive modes to choose from. I can go from rally mode, eco, or eco off. Now rally mode is going to play around with the traction control system. It doesn't entirely remove it, but it programs it so the rear wheel can play around a bit more and have some good old rally fun, especially on a dirt road like this one. So to turn this thing on, it's a bit of a sequence. First, I need to have my right foot on the brake. It's a pedal here on the right side. The handbrake also needs to be on. You see the lever right here? That's the handbrake. If it's not on, the vehicle just won't start. So then you turn off the kill switch right here. You turn it on first. So this is gonna turn on the instrument cluster. You twist the handlebar forward. You'll hear a beep, and then you can turn it on. To put it into drive, you just need to turn off the handbrake. As you see, it says F for forward, and this one has a reverse function. It's a lever right here on my left. By pulling it, the 4-way indicator is going to turn on. You'll hear a beep twice, and you're good to reverse. And then to turn it off, to put it back into drive, you kick it forward, and you're back into forward mode. Pretty straightforward instrumentation. My blinker is right here, like pretty much any motorcycle. I right, left, turn it off. Headlights, this has automatic daylight running lights, but I can have my high beams as well. I have a horn, always handy, and a cruise control feature. Not many people want to use these things on a Ryker, but it can be handy, especially when you're cruising on the highway. And the rally version has these nice handlebar protectors. In case rocks come flying at you, at least your hands are protected. But of course, when you're riding these things, I highly recommend wearing a pair of gloves. All right, we are ready to take this thing for a ride. All right, so putting around town in the Ryker Rally, I am on my way to a gravel road where I'm really going to be able to try out its rally mode and,
its promise, basically, because what Can-Am is selling you with this product is kind of like a trail bike, but in a trike form. And I'll be totally honest, before I hopped onto one of these things, I had a lot of prejudice about the whole Can-Am Spyder family. I associated them more to, you know, older people who, you know, just wanted to casually ride around. But I was noticing a lot more of them on the road. I'm realizing that BRP or Can-Am have a solid business model with this thing. They are selling them quite a lot, which has allowed them to open up the entire lineup with products like this one, the Ryker. So I'm kind of like the ideal target customer for this vehicle because I've never personally ridden a motorcycle. I've ridden some dirt bikes and stuff like that, but I'm not a motorcycle guy per se. And I'm not going to pretend that I know how, I don't know much about bikes. I don't review bikes. We have people at TopSpeed who are professional motorcycle reviewers. So the reasons why I don't want a motorcycle is because I find them very quick, very fast, very dangerous. I've heard horror stories about the types of accidents you can have with those things. And I don't know, I just don't trust other people on the road. And I'm just too worried that I'm going to lose a leg or worse than that, even die. So when BRP approached me to review the Ryker, they approached me with the idea that I don't need a motorcycle license. Where I live here in Quebec, all I needed was an extra course. It was a 3-hour theoretical course and then a 3-hour practical course. And then it's what they call the Class 6 license, which was added onto my regular automobile license, my regular car license. And there I was legally allowed to drive any 3-wheeled vehicle, at least in the province of Quebec. It's also a great gateway vehicle for somebody who's not yet ready for a motorcycle. It's a lot more affordable, like I said, to insure and to register than a motorcycle. And it's very, very easy to ride. Now, this one is powered by the 900cc Rotax engine. It is the most powerful engine available for the Ryker. It comes with a CVT transmission, so no need to change any gears. On the regular Spyders, you do change gears. You do have the option of a manual gearbox, but not on this one. And when you gun it, it goes. I mean, there are obviously faster motorcycles out there, but this is way faster than many, many sports cars, enough to have quite a bit of fun with it. Now, the 3-wheeled layout obviously allows you to have a lot of stability, and when you turn, you just basically operate it like you would a snowmobile. You just kind of move your body and move the handlebars right and left, which gives you a tremendous amount of grip, especially on the front wheels. However, what's a bit weird about the rear wheel is that it's always in the middle, so you're not really following the tracks on the road. You know how on the road you're often seeing some tracks caused by heavy trucks and cars? On a motorcycle, you can decide to be on one or the other. In a car, you obviously follow both. On this, you follow neither. You're kind of always in between everything, which can be sort of annoying. When you see a pothole coming, you try to absorb it with the rear wheel because it'll be a lot more stable than if you do it with the front. That being said, the adjustable coilovers on this thing are absolutely impeccable. I have 4 different levels of resistance. I can really play around with the damping. These are KYB shocks, and they really make a difference.
Okay, so now I have arrived to a gravel road. This is really the kind of surface where the Ryker Rally performs its best. I have activated rally mode. What this essentially does is kind of, it doesn't entirely turn off the traction control system, but it modulates it to allow the rear wheel to spin a bit more. This is going to allow me to play around with it, spin out the rear wheel, do some nice controllable drifts. This thing also has some extended mud flaps to prevent rocks from flying in my face or in people's windshield behind me. And it also has some adjustable KYB dampers. I can adjust them through red knobs. I've set them right now to the level 4. I'll see what it does, and I'll play around with it in level 1 to see. I think it has to do with the kind of lean that I can do with the vehicle, but I've been playing around with it for an entire week, and I really haven't seen much of a difference. So, okay, let's get going. Ryker Rally on a gravel road.
Nice. All right, so that rear wheel really lights up when you floor it. Obviously, because it's a CVT transmission, there is a delay. It operates the same way as a snowmobile. If you've ever driven a snowmobile, this is really the same thing. Very easy to ride. And then, wow, the suspension on this kind of gravel road does a really good job. I'm going to try to hit a few dimples here. Yeah, it's pretty smooth. So you see, that third wheel is an obvious problem here on a dirt road because there's the 2 tracks. Here, the 2 tracks are very obvious. So my 2 front wheels are on the tracks, and then the rear wheel is right smack in the middle where the thick of the gravel is. This means I have a lot of, the rear end is always loose. So you're going to tell me, yeah, that's what you want. I do, because when I floor it, Yeah, you feel it? Yeah. I can really play around with this thing. But if you're not used to it, it can throw you off guard. So if you're going to turn on rally mode on a dirt road, never forget that rear wheel is constantly on a loose surface. It's always going to be hunting for traction, so you really want to be prepared. Hold on tight to those handlebars because this thing can fly. Now, you're not getting that much horsepower. It's actually less than 100 horsepower, but because it's so lightweight, it gets up and goes rather well. And I gotta tell you, man, on this kind of surface, this thing is a blast to drive. If I really gun it in a corner at high speed, I am gonna feel that rear wheel spin. What I like about the system is that it'll never really allow you to crash and die. I've pushed this thing really to its limits, and if you drift it really too hard, if you push it too hard in a corner, it'll bring you back. So I find that Can-Am has done a really, really good job of programming this traction control system. The early Spyders were known for very, very intrusive traction control systems, but over time, you can tell that they've really, really worked that out. You have to understand that BRP is obsessed with safety. This was the promise with these vehicles when they came out, that they were a lot safer than a motorcycle, which is also why they're less expensive to insure and to register. And if you look at statistics, there are way, way less accidents on Spyders and Rykers than there are on two-wheel motorcycles. But I like that BRP is having a bit of fun with this thing. And here I have a corner. I'm going to try it out. See? Traction control kicked in right there. All right. It didn't want me to play there. Keep going. There was quite a bit of understeer there, surprisingly. You probably saw that it kind of plowed forward. I may have came into the corner a bit too fast. And those front handlebars, you really have to get used to them. Some people like to ride them standing up. I'm not a fan of standing up. I prefer sitting down on that rear wheel to give it more grip. I'm a big guy, so me sitting on there, I'm really making sure that the rear wheel is nice and planted. When it spins, I'm not losing it too much. It does get some grip. Here I go. Top speed. Nice. The braking system on these things is amazing. It has ABS brakes, central braking. It's all operated by the right foot, and you can really bring these things to a halt, as you can see. So I've come to the end of my first run on the dirt road. Now what I am going to do now is I am going to adjust the dampers to level 1. All right. So now all 3 damper settings are set to level 1. So it's either if you really want the vehicle to lean over, have a lot of body roll, or not at all. You can have it really, really stiff. All right. Yeah, this thing goes. Once it gets going, once that CVT, it's kind of like that elastic effect. But once it gets going, it's definitely fun to drive. These things definitely do not suck. All right, on the gravel road, let's give it some throttle. All right, on the gas. Now let's see. Yeah, okay, I can really, this is a lot softer. So level 4 being the stiffest, level 1 being the softest. And I'll tell you, on this gravel road, yeah, I really like this. Because now I can play around with it a lot more. So a bit further down, I'm going to hit a tight corner like I just did. I'm curious to see if the level of understeer is going to be quelled thanks to this softer suspension. All right, let's try to see if we can play out here. Coming down towards the bridge. I really like this corner. Nice loose gravel. Let's see how the suspension operates. Yeah, I can really tilt. I can lean in. Traction control kicked in there. But you see, it brought me right back in the line. It prevented me from doing anything stupid. If it's kicking in, it's because you're doing something stupid. Because if you're doing things right, it won't interfere. Suspension damping is really good. KYB has done a great job of calibrating these things to make them very plush, very smooth on even the roughest surfaces. You do get bumped around. You do feel like if you got a sore back, you might feel it, but that softer suspension setup really, really helps. Right, coming down here, the brakes are phenomenal. Honestly, this thing is fantastic. You want good brakes on one of these vehicles, right? Because, anything can happen when you're on a motorcycle or a trike. I am really beginning to like this thing. I'm really warming up to it.
So at this point, if you're a motorcycle fan, you're probably laughing in your beard, because no, this is not a trail bike. It's not pretending to be a dirt bike either, but it is definitely a lot of fun. Definitely not a boring machine. It's an interesting ride. I had a blast riding this thing, and what I find really cool is that Can-Am is really alone in this segment. Nobody is doing something like this. I'm happy that the company has started to let its hair down, let its vehicles play around a bit more, have a bit of more fun out there. But what I want from this machine is even more power. Yes, the 900cc is good, but give it more, give it a 1200. I really want to feel that thing. I want to feel it on the throttle, and why not throw in a manual transmission in there, and then you're really going to have a nice trail machine. But so far, consider me impressed, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what's coming next from Can-Am.